So 6:19, I think it's Friday. We're coming into the Outfitter Mountain Crossing, 31.6 miles from Springer. This is one of the few places where literally the AT goes through the middle of the building. This was the bunk house over on the right. It may be closed. I think it is closed actually. That's the hostel area that's closed. Restrooms may or may not be open, hard to say. And the store is right up here. Here's some picnic tables where Bill's gonna sit down and have some lunch while he waits for his shuttle to come, lucky, from above the clouds. And there's the front of the store up there. And I'm looking for the tree where all the shoes hang from, but I don't see it. But here we go, Neal's Gap. 31.6 miles from Springer, my southern destination. June 20th, almost 11 a.m. and almost to the top of Blood Mountain. Pretty nice view up here. So tomorrow is June 21st. It'll be Father's Day. And it is what I call a wake up. And in military jargon, it's the day that you leave that base, you PCS, or permanent change of duty station, you're gone. Tomorrow morning, I will go to Springer Mountain, Georgia, and that will conclude my southern AT hike, which means I've gone over 1,000 miles. So humility and modesty I always admire greatly, but I've also been rightly accused of not recognizing either personally or professionally accomplishments that have been made. And hiking 1,000 miles in 3 pairs of shoes, well, quite frankly, that is one heck of an accomplishment. So it is important to take the time to smell the roses, as they say. And that's really what this video is about. So, having reached Springer Mountain as a significant event, and it gets highlighted constantly to me with the people that I talk to. And it gets highlighted sometimes in really weird ways. For example, when I was at the NOC, I was outside the general store waiting for the rain to stop, sitting on a bench with my pack. And there was a group of bikers nearby, and one of the bikers came over and started chatting me up. I told him what I was doing. He wanted to know how, things were going, etc. Next thing I know, he's waving over the other biker friend saying, "Hey, come over here and talk to this dude. You won't believe what he's doing." And even yesterday, when I went through the Outfitter, that's the Outfitter where the AT literally runs through the building. I went in to pick up my package from Supply Sergeant Sally. And he went and got my package, he brought it back, and he goes, normally northbounders don't bother with a resupply 30 miles into their hike. And my reply was, I bet you even fewer southbounders come to you to get a resupply 30 miles from the end of their flip-flop hike. And his attitude flipped on a dime. And I am very, very fortunate in the way that I feel. So I'm proud of what's happened, but more so, I feel very fortunate. Fortunate physically in that, I've not been hurt and been forced off the trail. I have no idea how many rocks and roots, etc., that I have kicked and tripped over. But I've not been hurt significantly enough to force me off the trail. and that's just fortunate. That's not luck, it's not skill, it's just flat out fortune. But I've got no doubt that I've pushed myself physically in this endeavor. I am 35 to 40 pounds lighter than when I started. So the weight loss tells me just how hard I have been pushed physically. But mentally, that's the place where I got to make a confession. Being a southbounder, flip-flopper, it's been mentally challenging. Having started in mid-March is a blessing, and it's also a curse. So the blessing is my route unfolded extremely well. You know, I made it through the Shenandoahs. They closed halfway through, so the option was, do you reverse or do you go through and finish? Well, I finished it. Graham, North Carolina closed the county, and you had to be a county resident to go through. Well, that opened up by the time I got there. And then, of course, there's the Smokies. The Smokies closed for a while, but by the time I got to the Smokies had opened up. So I've been really fortunate in the timing and the direction of my travel. But it's also been a curse in the fact that it really has been mentally challenging to deal with the isolation and the solitude that comes with being a southbounder. So the way it works is I'll pass some northbounders during the day, and there's just a brief conversation because they're going one way and I'm going the other way. And the most meaningful conversations happen at camp at night. So you get into the camp, you get into the shelter, and you know, you've got a period of a few hours where you're cooking dinner and you talk to each other. People ask me what's coming up, and I tell them because I've just come that direction, and vice versa. You talk about lodgings, you know, where did you stay? How was it? You talk about how'd you get your trail name? Where are you from? And you basically spend a few hours getting to know each other. But then the morning comes, and it goes back to being all business because people are up and they want to get breakfast, they want to get their bags squared away, and they want to get on the trail. So in the morning, it's nothing more than just some common courtesies, and people are going the opposite directions. So there is a time in the evening where, you know, you get to know people and you talk with them, and that's been great for my mind. But at the end of the day, I know it's Groundhog Day because it's going to be the same thing tomorrow with a different set of people. So that's been the real challenge, is there's been rare occurrences where just over that 4-hour period, you make a close enough friend or friendship that's really going to last. And as a result, when this is all over, I'm sure I'm going to write a terrible blues song. I got the lyrics pretty well worked out, but the title is going to be The 4-Hour Friend, because that's kind of how the southbounder is viewed, and that's how it works. I won't run into these people again. You know, they're going to go their way north, and I'm going my way south. And 99% of these people I will never see again. So over the course of time, that kind of weighed on me. Staying at the hostels has been great because I can talk to people, have meaningful conversations, and, you know, be a part of something. But out there in the trail, it's hard. And there was a point, the confession is, there was a point around 500 miles where I was struggling mentally. So it says two things about Pathfinder. That's the guy that, you know, I just had an outstanding conversation with at the dinner table for 6 hours in Petersburg. But it also says a lot about just how the lack of friendships or people that I've met have been out here on the trail. So I reached out to him around, you know, somewhere in the 500-mile mark, and I said, you know what, I'm having trouble. Physically, I'm okay, but mentally, this is really starting to get to me. But Zach put together a really good email, a text back. And he texted me back and says, hey, here's some things you got to think about. So you got to push. You got to push, and if this is what you want to do, this is what you got to do. So, you know, the rules are that you hike your own hike. That's the rule for every individual out here. Hike your own hike. But his text back to me helped me turn the corner. And I said, okay. My reply back was simple. I said, thank you, will do, sir. And that was it. But I knew at that point I was going to Springer. There are people that got off the trail, or they're just purposely now have started late because, they want to get on March, but COVID hit, so they delayed it. And there's a lot of people that got off because they couldn't get through the Smokies, or they had this, or they got that. And they got off trail for a month or 6 weeks or whatever it is. And I see those people every day now. But the reality is they're not going to get the thru hike done. They just lost too much time. And without exception, the most positive spin that they have put on it is, at the time it seemed like the right decision. But in retrospect, it was not the best decision. And then you get other folks that say, you know what, I made the wrong decision. I should have stayed on the trail. And every individual's different, and every individual's got to hike their own hike. But it's been interesting that the people that got off, with almost without exception, they regret that they got off because they're not going to be able to complete it this year. Time and distance on the AT cannot be cheated. 5 miles is 5 miles. It's 2.5 hours. 50 miles is 50 miles. 500 miles is 500 miles. You can't cheat the AT on time and distance. Today you may be faster, but tomorrow you'll be longer. The terrain is going to dictate. The weather is going to dictate. There's variables out there you're not planning for. Time and distance on the AT, you can't cheat. So once you lose something like 30, 45, 60 days, you can't make that up. It just can't be done. So that's really been an interesting story that's kind of come to pass, in that the people that stayed on the trail still have a shot to complete this thing this year. And the ones that got off, almost invariably, are going to have a very, very difficult time trying to make up the lost time that they took off. But tomorrow's a big day. I get to Springer. And I don't know if it's going to be an emotional event or not, but I suspect I'll be more focused on what's next. I've had to arrange a shuttle, the hotel room, the rent-a-car, where the key's going to be, all this type of stuff. So I pretty much think that I'll already be thinking ahead. But tomorrow I'll finish 17 miles. I'll get to Springer, get in the shuttle, go to Gainesville, Georgia, spend the night, use my Hilton points for a change. Haven't done that yet on the trip. And then pick up the rent-a-car first thing in the morning. And then it's on to Winston-Salem / Charlotte. So wish me luck. The weather's supposed to be good tomorrow. It's going to be warm, but hey, at least it's not raining. And that's kind of the way this hike has unfolded now at the halfway point. So I wanted to do this video because, well, I'll get caught up and things are going to start moving faster and decisions got to start being made. So better off make it while it's fresh in my head. So hope you enjoyed my thoughts. Take care, folks. Keep hiking. It's June 21st, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Behind me is a sign for Springer Mountain, the southern terminus of the Appalachian Trail. So, 95 days and over 1,000 miles. Center field is where he set out to be. Hoo-ah. It's also Father's Day. And I can't wait to talk to Brooke and to Pat. They're going to be very proud of their old man. Talk to you soon, guys. See ya.